Helmets off is on, and we're going to the NFL because we love the NFL. More specifically, we're going to go to the record book. There's some interesting records that you might be surprised at who the actual record holder is. You ready for this? Okay. Single season percentage of completion by a quarterback. Who do you might think that is? Well, if you're thinking of all the people that would be the usual suspects, you're wrong. It's Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford, who's kind of had a pedestrian type of career, never, he's a Heisman Trophy winner, first pick in the draft, kind of been hurt, shows signs of brilliance, but when he's on, better than anyone else, 71.6%. All right, you ready for this? The rookie interception lead, who do you think that might be? Well, it's none other than Peyton Manning, who is a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. Of course, he won several MVPs and thrown for 1 million yards, 1 million touchdowns. All this, well, his rookie season, he threw 28 interceptions. It's the most all-time of anyone. You think of some other quarterbacks, first-round draft picks, you wouldn't think of Peyton Manning. Maybe a guy like Terry Bradshaw or some of these guys that have really struggled. Well, it's not. It's actually Peyton Manning. You ready for this one? This is kind of cool. All right, this is a Packers record. In other words, the Green Bay Packers. So it's not an NFL record, but who do you think had the very best game statistically as a quarterback for a Packers great? You think of Bart Starr? Possibly. What about Lynn Dickey, who was great in the 80s, or Don Majkowski, or Brett Favre, or Aaron Rodgers? You think it's any one of those? Well, think again. It's not. It's Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn threw for 480 yards and 6 touchdown passes. That's right. Better than any of the all-time great Packers. Although Aaron Rodgers tied him, he did it with fewer completions. All right, how about this? Most touchdown passes in a game. This guy kind of came out of obscurity this year in a major way. In fact, he won the Super Bowl. Nick Foles with the Philadelphia Eagles actually had 7 touchdown passes in a game. That's right, 7. He holds a record with a few other players, but he's kind of the most obscure name on that list. 7 touchdown passes in a game, leads all quarterbacks in NFL history. All right, here's one. How about, since we had most interceptions for a season, who threw the most interceptions of all time as a quarterback? Who do you think that might be? Someone in the early days of football, maybe a Y.A. Tittle guy, or maybe it's someone like Terry Bradshaw again, or maybe it's not those 49ers quarterbacks because they never throw interceptions. It's none other than Brett Favre. That's right, Brett Favre. Brett Favre, 11-time Pro Bowler, first ballot Hall of Famer, unanimous selection, by the way, 3 MVPs, Super Bowl champion, has thrown more interceptions in his career than anyone else. All right, this is kind of a fun one right here. You ready for this one? Who has the most touchdowns per times they touched the football? So every time they touched it, or every few times they touched it, they scored touchdowns. You'd probably like that guy and think he's pretty good. Well, you're in for a shock. It's Tim Tebow. That's right, Tim Tebow, who's actually playing baseball right now, who really didn't make it in the NFL. Great guy. Everyone loves him, because he looks like he belongs on the cover of GQ. Tim Tebow, 11.3 times he touched a football, he scored a touchdown. I say that's pretty productive. Now, he couldn't throw the ball very well, but he got things done. All right, you ready for this one? The next one is, let's talk about a guy named Tom Brady. Was Tom Brady always really good? Did he ever fail? It sure feels like everything he touches turns to gold in his personal life and his professional life. Well, the reality is Tom really is that good. He had won 3 Super Bowls, folks, before he ever lost a playoff game. Can you believe that? 3 Super Bowls before he ever lost a playoff game. The guy's good. In fact, he's really good. And he's probably going to keep being good for probably as long as he wants to continue to play, which right now seems like forever. All right, this is a fun one. How many rushing yards do you think Peyton Manning has had, his all-time longest rush on a football field? How long? Because, Peyton Manning's known for throwing, but he ain't known for running because he's not fast. He's not a Steve Young kind of guy. He's not a Tim Tebow kind of guy. He's not a Michael Vick kind of guy. His longest rush is 33 yards for a touchdown, and it's longer than Trent Richardson, who was a great running back at Alabama. somewhat of a bust in the NFL. Peyton Manning has actually had a longer rushing touchdown than Trent Richardson, and it's only by a yard. FYI, my longest rush in the NFL was 38 yards, so I'm pretty good at that rushing thing over that Manning guy. All right, you ready for this one? This one I find interesting as well. The most passes before a person threw a pick six. So the most pass completions or attempts before a person actually threw a pick six. This is Aaron Rodgers. Isn't that crazy? Aaron Rodgers threw 3,807 passes between INTs for touchdowns, pick six. Crazy stuff. I mean, that's remarkable because some of the greatest in the league have thrown pick sixes, and some are Peyton Manning, who's on this list, actually threw one in the Super Bowl, which was a turning point for the New Orleans Saints in their victory over the Indianapolis Colts. All right, you ready for this one? This is crazy, okay? And this is the last one. The most passing yards by a quarterback in a game who didn't start. Who do you think it might be? Maybe it's someone like, me, a really good backup guy like Frank Reich, who played for the Buffalo Bills, who's now the coach for the Indianapolis Colts, or someone like that. Well, you're wrong. It's actually Chad Henne. He threw for 356 yards in a game, and they played the Houston Texans, and guess what? He didn't throw an interception, he didn't throw a touchdown pass, and they didn't win. So he threw a bunch of yards that went nowhere, and they lost. But it's a serious amount of yards. It's 356 yards in a game. Didn't win, didn't start the game, didn't have a touchdown, and they lost. Crazy list, crazy things that happen in the NFL. A lot of them fairly surprising, at least I think. Hope you like this, because I sure did. It's kind of fun to look back on these things, and there's always some cool surprises. So, if you like this and more, please subscribe to my podcast, Helmets Off. You can text helmets to 65537. It's free. Have one of those smartphones. Be smart. Push the podcast button. Type in helmets. There we are. Until then, we'll catch you soon.